given it to the Israelites. And it says, in the service of the Most High, and the promises, okay? Right? The service of the Most High would be like what? Being a prophet, okay? You know, being a priest. That's the service of the Most High, okay? And the promises, which is what? The kingdom of heaven. So all that pertaining unto the Israelites, man. That doesn't pertain unto these other nations. That only pertains unto the Israelites, man. Okay? And it says, whose are the fathers, and of whom concerning the flesh, right? Of concerning the flesh, which is mean concerning their race, concerning their ethnicity, right? Hamashiach came, who is over all, the Most High, blessed forever. Amen. That's it, man. All right? And it's plain and simple. When you really read it and you really are honest with yourself, it's clear to see that the Heavenly Father only came for the Israelites. Okay? Matter of fact, I remember there was these two Edomite couples, this Edomite couple that came like last year, I believe it was last year, right? They came by the camp and they were saying, and basically they came, I just told them straight that, listen, the Most High only sent the Lord back for the Israelites. The Lord didn't come back for any other nation. The Bible has nothing to do with any other nation. It only has to do with the Israelites. And the woman was all bent out of shape. She's like, what? How can you say that? What do you mean? But her husband was like, yep, it's true. He's right. It's true. Because he already knew that. And basically, those were supposed to be avid churchgoers. But really what he was doing, he was just faking the funk the whole time. Right? He was just pretending like he believed. He didn't really believe. Because he knew that it didn't pertain to him. Okay? But guess what? If I were to say, or right, that it is pertaining to you, right? If the scriptures actually said that it pertained to them, Esau would embrace it, man, and he would be even more puffed up than he is now. But we tell you Israelites that only pertains to you, and you want to save the whole world, man. You want to save your enemy. When the scriptures tell you to what? Never trust thine enemy. When you want to save your enemy and put him in the same stead as you. Which makes no sense. Because when these devils had their kingdom, they weren't putting you on the same, they're not putting you on the same level right now. You're not on the same level as them. Okay? That's why you have something called a glass ceiling, man. Okay? Right? They had you in slavery. They were lynching you at leisure. Scalping so-called Native Americans. Try to Gadites. So you weren't treated equal in their kingdom. So why the hell would you want to be them to be treated equal in your kingdom? So Ecclesiasticus 12, verse 10 says, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness. Right? So if the Gadites, the so-called Native Americans, would have used that knowledge, right, that wisdom, this would have never happened, man. Okay, they would have never been in this position, man. All right. Right now, you go to these Native American reserves, and they don't even have clean water to drink. They don't have electricity. They don't have clean water. Right? Some of the places, the water's coming out of the ground, man. Just like Flint. And who's in Flint, man? Israelites, man. So-called the Judites, man. That's who's in Flint, Michigan the most. And their water's all messed up too. Okay? But let you go to flipping some Edomite neighborhood. Their water is going to be flipping purified, man. All right? Okay? I don't drink tap water, but the safest tap water you could possibly get is in one of those Edomite neighborhoods. Even though I wouldn't drink it, but you have the best chance with that. You drink the tap water in the Jake neighborhood, you might catch cancer by tomorrow, man. All right? And Esau set it up that way on purpose, man. When you go back to even when they were putting that pipeline through what was it? What was the place, man? Was it Dakota? can't remember if it was Dakota. I don't remember what. It was somewhere in America, man. They were trying to build a pipeline through the first they went to the Edomite neighborhood to see if they were going to build a pipeline, and they said hell no, man. Right? They signed a petition. They said nah, we're not. No, you can't build over here. So what did they do? Instead of putting it in the Edomite neighborhood, they ran that pipeline through the Native American neighborhood, man. All right? You see, to pollute their water. But then you people say that Esau's okay. Esau's all right. Oh, not all. You know. This is a man that you should never trust, man. This is a man that you should be trying to get away from, man. Okay? It says, though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away, man. So even though he comes to you with soft words and, you know, just humbly and all that, you know, oh, I love native people, I love Hispanics or whatever the hell he's talking about, man. All right, you got to keep your eye on that devil. All right, because Esau is a trickster, man. All right, and he's a deceiver. All right, set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. And that's what you Israelites are trying to do. You're trying to set Esau by you in the kingdom of heaven, man. Dummy. If Esau was allowed to be beside you in the kingdom of heaven, guess what? He'll be plotting to kick you out of rulership, man. All right? Because guess what? He's going to be jealous. He's like it. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or any such as come nigh wild beast? Okay? So if you play with a serpent, you're going to get bit. That's it, man. You play around with it, you start to trust the Edomite, expect to be stabbed in the back. Salaki. Expect to be stabbed in the back, man. That's how it goes, man. Because these Edomites are not to be trusted, man. So it's not to be trusted. Okay? Psalms 83. I'll start at verse 1. It says, keep not thou silence, O Most High. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Most High. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. And that's what they did, man. That's why now the reason that we don't know we're Israelites was all a joint effort by all these other nations. Because guess what? There's the nations around the world. A good majority of them know that we're Israelites. When you go to their own country, if they're raised up in their country, they know that we're the Israelites. Okay? And they know that those so-called Jews are imposters. But they're playing along with it because they're our enemies. They're not our friends. Alright? And it says, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom and Ishmael, the tabernacles of Edom, which is the first one mentioned, okay, and the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarenes, Jabal and Ammon, and Amalek and the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur also is joined with them. They have holpen the children of Lot. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as the Sisera. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin at the brook of Kison, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth, man. So basically, Asaph is asking the Heavenly Father to destroy our enemies, man. He's not asking the Heavenly Father to allow our enemies to join with us. He's saying destroy them, man. Okay? Right? That's what he's saying, because he knows that the enemies are not to be trusted, man. As soon as the enemies got a chance, they got one over on us, man. You see? And now they're working with Amalek in order to allow them to keep that lie going that they're us. All right? That they're Israelites when they're not. Okay? When you go back to the 60s, right? What do you call it? I believe it was Time Magazine. Gamal Abdul Nasser, the president of Egypt, he said straight, listen, man, there's never going to be peace in the land of Israel because you left so-called black and you came back like so-called white people, man. All right? Because they knew that we were the Israelites. And you think he was the only one that knew that, man? That was common knowledge, man. These other nations just allowed them to do that. Okay? Which he might have been a Jake, who knows? Okay? But at the end of the day, these other nations were confederate with these Edomites with them. Let's get Ezekiel 36. Ezekiel 36 and verse 5, it says, therefore, thus saith the Lord, the Lord power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen, and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession, with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. So Idumea, the Edomites, took the land of the Lord into their possession, and they're in that land right now. Excuse me, pretending to be us. See, and these other nations, they were down with that, man. So that shows you that we can't trust these other nations, man. This is Revelations 2 verse 9. And it says, I know thy works in tribulation and in poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Okay, and when this was written, this was really written for the Israelites in that time. But now it can be applied to those Edomites, man. All right? Because they're actually professing to be Israelites, they're professing to be Jews, but they're really not the real Jews. They're not the Israelites, man. Okay? The Israelites are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. Okay? We are the actual descendants of Jacob. See? And this is the reason why our people are in the condition that they're in right now. It's because what? They broke the law, statutes, and commandments that the Most High gave them to follow. So what did he do? He punished us, man. All right? like he always did. When you read the scriptures, when you read Numbers and Second Kings and all that, that's all stories of Israel going into captivity, man. All right, and being delivered and then going back into captivity again. This is the final captivity. This was the last go round. Okay, the transatlantic slave trade was the last go round, the last captivity, man. After that, we're going into rulership, man. That's gonna be forever. There's not gonna be no other nation that's gonna come up and try to contest us, man. They might try, but they're gonna fail miserably. But the scripture says, those who will not come up to the feast days, right, to worship, they will get their land will have no rain, and you can't survive without rain. All right. You might get mad at a rainy day, but guess what? You can't survive without rain. And these other nations won't be able to survive because no crops will grow. They won't even be able to survive off of the game. They won't be able to survive off of, you know, the lawful meats, because, or any meat for that matter, because everything will be dying out because of the lack of vegetation. Something called a food chain, man. Right? So these heathens are going to learn quickly not to buck up against the rulership, not to buck up against the Israelites, man, the sons of God, man. They're going to learn that real quick. Okay? Isaiah, the 2nd chapter. And it reads, the word of Isaiah, the son of Amos, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. And many people shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the power of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. All right? Because what? We're going to be teaching these other nations how to keep the law, statutes, and commandments correctly, man. All right? We're going to force them. It's not going to be a democracy. All right? And it says, and he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nations shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Right? So there's not going to be any more war once we're in rulership. That's going to be the end. This last war that's coming, which is World War III, after that, that's it. Okay? There's not going to be any more war. Because we're going to basically destroy all the weaponry. All right? We're going to go around and destroy all the weaponry that no one could buck up against us, man. That's what's going to happen. All right? And it says, O house of Jacob, come ye, and let us walk in the light of the Lord. Therefore thou hast forsaken thy people, the house of Jacob, because they be replenished from the east, and are soothsayers like the Philistines. And they please themselves in the children of strangers. Okay, so the Israelites kept going off. They kept following after the ways of the heathen. So the Most High did away with Israel. As simple as that, man. All right, because he gave us a lot of warnings. All right, but he didn't do away with us forever. He did away with us for a certain period of time. Now we're coming back to the Lord, coming back to Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, right? And, you know, we need Yahushua to get to Yahweh now. Okay. So that's why we push the name of Yahushua as well. Okay, because we need Yahushua. Yahushua is that mediator between us and Heavenly Father. This is Hosea. Hosea 1 verse 10, it says, no, Salaki, not 10, Salaki. This is Hosea 1 verse 6. It says, and she conceived again and bare a daughter, and the Most High said unto him, call her name Lo-ruhamah, for I will no more have mercy upon the house of Israel, but I will utterly take them away. All right, so that's what happened. The Most High allowed, first of all, he made Hosea marry a woman that was a harlot as a symbol. Okay, that was symbolic of what we were doing, man. We were being a harlot. In other words, we were spiritually being a harlot, going to these other philosophies, man, and following after these heathens. All right. So the Most High told Hosea to marry a harlot, and his children were all named prophetic names, man. Okay, like I just read, it said that the name was Lo-ruhamah, for he will no more have mercy upon Israel. And another name of his son was Lo-ami, for this is not my people. Okay, because the Most High was did away with his people. You see. It's as simple as that. So in this time we're coming back to him, and Yahushua is going to come and deliver the elect. But 2/3 of the nation of Israel are going to be completely wiped out. All right, 2/3 are going to be completely wiped out. All right, because 2/3 are not going to get right. They're not going to follow after the ways of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. You know. So with that, I'm going to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua, by Hashem HaKadosh. Double honors to my apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And salutation, much love and respect to you brothers out there pushing this word out in truth and sincerity. Shalom.